Also, for me, it was the culmination of what I thought was years and years and years of state intervention in your private sphere, your private life. This is, and when I saw Matt Hancock crying on the TV when the first vaccine went out, I just thought, this is just. I'm just trying to imagine Churchill bursting into tears in the bunker, you know.
Peter Shaw.
No, Peter Shaw, you know. These people are a joke. They're not fit to govern this country. No. So for me, it's been a long journey where we have deferred all responsibility for our own lives and our own safety and health to the state. And I don't think that's a good thing.
I mean, from our perspective with the music industry, what I find very difficult even with close friends who are musicians, is they are aiding and abetting the destruction of their own industry by complying. I don't think they understand it. It kind of does my brain in. And as you said, you know, there were people speaking out, and then suddenly, obviously, a word was had in their ear. And that's why in the mid-90s we went completely independent, because we don't like people speaking in our ear. We like to do what we want to do, which financially wasn't the smartest move we've ever made. It has to be said. But in terms of just us pleasing ourselves, releasing the records we want to release, mouthing off when we want to mouth off. I mean, we have had people, even now, though we're not actually affiliated to anybody, we have had emails and people telling us to shut up, although it is actually none of their business.
And it's not just musicians, it's performers of any kind, whether it's theatre, dance, the dancers, whatever. If your theatre is dark because of this, if you are not working because of this, then you need to get out. It's feet on the street. That's what it is, you know. And there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse for standing up and saying what you think.
But the thing is, I think with you and I, is that we knew that this was coming. So it's not a surprise to us. It's not a surprise that they brought more lockdowns in. And it's not going to be a surprise to either of us when they lock down again, you know, kind of autumn, winter. So I always say to people, the thing is now, prepare for that. But the fact that they've got to spend all this money on marketing and putting the fear of everything into you just says to me what a joke it is, really.
Exactly.
This whole thing, and I just think, you know, plan now for if and when it happens again, and go to these rallies and meet your friends, and like you said, the stand in the park thing is great. And then you had the mums who in Northwich who had their own sports day because they weren't.
That's great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And this is the whole thing: build your communities. You know, meet teachers, meet like-minded parents who, even if schools close down again, you put your kids all together, and you know you can have them taught and looked after, and you know, it's not just you and the pressure on you all the time. Oh, it's so frustrating when people say, but that's the rules, you have to follow them, they're there for this. No, always question the rules.
Always, yeah.
Always question. They're dismissing nutrients that we're deficient in, like vitamin D, being in a cloudy country. Yeah. They're dismissing all of like things that can help you. Then they're closing gyms and all the things that are actually good for you. Fresh air, they say only go out your house for an hour a day, but what about fresh air? Fresh air and being out in nature, it's really important to your well-being. The sun's important to your well-being. Yeah. All these things that make you a well person, they're kind of like trying to pull away from you. So to me as well, that was a huge red flag at the start.
Absolutely. I got fact-checked by Instagram for promoting vitamin D.
Yeah, so did I.
It's just madness, isn't it?
It's weird, isn't it? It is very strange times we're living in. And if somebody had told me, you know, 18 months ago that this would be where we were going, and this was all going to happen, and we'd all be locked down for 3 weeks to flatten the curve, and then another 3 months, and then another 6 months, and then another 6 months, and I wouldn't have believed it. I really wouldn't. And all being governed by scientists and the politicians not having any idea really what they're doing at all. That the whole motivation has been to make us compliant and to frighten us as much as possible. It would have been quite good to have some behaviourists who also said, actually, how are you going to unpick everything? How are you going to undo this fear? Once you've scared the bejesus out of everybody, how are you going to roll back on that? Because once you have scared people, it's very, very difficult to unscare them. And I don't think they've thought that one through. And I hate the fact that we all think of each other as killing machines. Now, you walk into Tesco's or something, and you're not just an ordinary person going shopping, you're somebody who might murder me. You know, you might have some ghastly lurgy, and everybody's kind of edging round you, and it's a horrible feeling. And then I saw another little girl, so a younger girl, was running past me, and she again sort of just glanced up at my masked face and sort of cringed. And I just think it's awful for young children to be scared of adults like that. Really, really terrible. They can't. Children are like little sponges. They learn so much and then they observe. I've got a 3-year-old grandson, and he picks up every single signal. He imitates everything. I can see him, soaking everything up. And if they're just seeing people in masks, they're not getting any feedback at all on what people are thinking.
For me, I've been going to all the protests, and it's where my heart soars, because a lot of the time I feel like I'm in alien nation where nobody understands what's going on, and we're just being fed this disinformation by the mainstream media. So to go to a protest like that and see completely normal people like me, I mean, I know the mainstream media want to paint it as anti-vaxxers and loonies and whatever they want to do, but mainly for me it's people who have got families, whose children are suffering, who have lost their jobs. There's just really normal people who just want to be heard, want a chance to get their side of what's going on heard. It's insane. I mean, and that's the smear campaign, isn't it? Because it is a smear campaign, just like we've had a massive propaganda campaign of fear against us, the British people, and actually globally. But I think in Britain it's been a really intense propaganda of fear. I really hope that people are really starting to wake up and understand what's going on and join us, because it's the only way that we're going to get out of this, if people stand up and join us and understand that we're peaceful, but we want the best for everyone. Something just smelled off to me very, very early on. And so I have been kind of going mad. I think 3 weeks in, it hit me that this is not right. I was one of these deluded people. I was a TV cook, I was a chef, I was, I had a lovely little kind of semi-celebrity life. I'd go to events all week, and then I'd cook for something, and I'd consult for some restaurants, and I thought the government were good people. That's why they wanted to rule, they wanted to help people and put us all in a good place. I was in a really beautiful, naive bubble. So it got burst, and it was hard. It was like losing faith almost. So it's been a real reawakening for me. And now I do not believe a single word that comes out of any politician's mouth. I've lost all hope with them. I mean, I have absolutely no doubt they were shelled because of my lockdown stance. And off the record, my manager was told if I just toned down my voice on Twitter, I'd probably get more work. And so I made a decision very, very early on that I wasn't going to be ruled by that. If we change the mind of just one person, we get them to understand that it stops when we make it stop. When we start standing up for our rights, our children, our businesses, that's when it will stop. And everybody does need to stand up and just do this. And I hope that this might convince just one person, and I'll be happy.